Hey sisters, it's Andrew here, and I'm back with another video. Before I start this video, I just want to give a big thank you to all my Patreon subscribers for sponsoring me, even though I don't actually have any, but I'll leave Jake Doolittle's Patreon in the description down below if you want to support him, because he seems like a good guy who tries to do a lot of good through things like his Never Stop clothing brand, which supports people with chronic illnesses. And honestly, that's a pretty Chad move. Now, for people coming to this video expecting some kind of beef or drama, this is not at all my intention. I'm a huge fan of Jake Doolittle and his content, and have been ever since his collaboration with Danny Gonzalez popped up on my For You page. However, just because I really like him and really enjoy the content he puts out, I don't think that puts him above criticism should the need for criticism for something he does arise. And I think the need for criticism does arise with his video with Sharpe, in which he talks about a Fox News program. But because I genuinely want this to be a productive video and conversation, I'm going to do a compliment sandwich. So first I'll give a background on who Jake Doolittle is and why I like his content so much. Then I'll get into the issues that I have with this Fox News video, which, to be clear, has nothing to do with me supporting Fox News. On a scale of liars to cesspools, I would not rank Fox News because I think that would be an insult both to liars and to cesspools. My criticism is kind of with the content and the purpose of the video. And criticism is a word that I'm using very cautiously because it doesn't exactly encompass what I'm trying to do here. Criticism suggests some kind of call out or a conflict arising, neither of which is happening. So if you're Arby's and you're looking for the beef, please move along. There's none to be had here, and I'm a vegan in this very bad analogy. But before I get too lost in the sauce, let's jump into the first part of the compliment sandwich and talk about who Jake Doolittle is and why I parasocially stan him. So Jake Doolittle is a bit of a jack of all trades. He's a content creator, photographer, videographer, business owner, philanthropist, model, and, most surprisingly, an aspiring professional dancer.
You're so mature for your age.
Okay, maybe not that last one, but you get the idea. He does a lot of things and he's good at all of them. He's good at most of them. For the purposes of this section, I'm going to focus primarily on Jake's YouTube channel because that's where he's most prominent. With almost 50,000 subscribers and quickly growing, Jake has really hit his stride with YouTube. In his videos, he blends reaction with this kind of come along with me on this journey of discovering and making fun of the latest douche type videos. And while his commentary is very funny, it never really descends into hateful, which can be a very difficult line to skirt. And I don't think he even crosses any kind of lines with the Fox News video. My issue isn't with the content or what was said, but rather the overall message that the video sends, and I'll get more into that in a second. Now that the first layer is done, I want to get into the Fox News video itself. And again, I don't actually disagree with anything that was said in the video. Fox News pulled a lot of weird, racist garbage in it, and then specifically edited it to make it look like the Chinese people that they interviewed were idiots, which is absolutely up and deserves to be criticized. But my gripes with Jake's video are twofold, and I'll address each one separately. But the first is that it's not what I came here for, and the second is that it's not particularly helpful. The first reason, I will confess, is pretty selfish, and very possibly it just pertains to me. Jake's content is funny. Pretty much without exception. He's a funny guy that makes funny remarks about generally light topics that we can all pretty much laugh at together, like becoming a sexual kung fu master, which is everything the title promises and more, and it is absolutely hilarious.
For most men, they only experience their sexual energy as flowing out of their genitals. Ejaculation. Again, the downward outward flow. This
downward outward.
Yeah, this is the path of death.
Path of death?
And he also does videos sometimes where he subjects his friends to the most cursed TikToks that he can find.
I love you. I love you, Snoop Dogg.
But sometimes he does talk about videos with heavier topics, like the Brian to Slava video, where he covers some pretty sketchy things going on in his photography business. But when I come to Jake Doolittle's channel, because I get a notification on my phone telling me that he's posted another video, I come to escape. I don't think I need to spell out the recent happenings and everything that's going on in the world. But being an adult, I have no choice but to face the bad things and the everything sucking on the daily. So when something comes up that allows me to get away from that, like a video from Jake Doolittle, I absolutely jump at the opportunity. It's not much, but it's honest work. A couple times a week for between 10 and 20 minutes, all of my problems in the world being a horrible place right now fade away because I get to watch a funny video from a creator that I respect. But when I watched the Fox News video, and full disclosure, I did not finish it, I couldn't help but think that this is not the escape that I had gotten used to every time I come to Jake's channel. I had gone from the real world with lots of issues, many of which are at least indirectly the fault of Fox News, into Jake's content, which suddenly was really closely reflecting the issues of the real world. But I don't want that. I want to watch these videos for a quick break from reality before I have to jump back into the dumpster fire that is everything. And in this video, I felt like I was being reminded that, hey, in case you forgot, the world sucks and there are people actively trying to make it worse. So, here's a video of people actively trying to make it worse. Now, a reasonable person could argue that being in denial is part of the problem, and that is absolutely true. But I'm not in denial. I'm fully aware that this happens, and I am vocally against it, but there's no way that I can be mentally healthy if I don't have a break from this every once in a while. And that's what I turn to things like Jake's channel for, except in this instance, it just felt like a miss. In the half of the video I watched, sure, the jokes were funny, but they were also all overshadowed by how racist and f***ed up the entire piece was. The things being said and done in the clip were absolutely sickening, and while they absolutely deserve to be called out, this channel isn't where I go to see things like that called out. I go to this one, or this one, but this one? This is the one that I go to just to escape, just for a few minutes, because sometimes everything sucks, and I just want 10 minutes where it feels like everything's okay. My second issue is more of a moral high ground stance, and while I'm going to be sticking to it, I do think a reasonable person could make the argument that this criticism isn't fair. But overall, while watching this video, I couldn't help but think that the criticism levied against Fox, while pretty much all true, really just wasn't helpful. I don't think it's a secret that we live in fairly politically divided times. And this isn't me just feeling like this. The Vanderbilt Unity Index actually tracked political divide, and while it trended upward in 2021, overall we see that political unity has been on the decline since 1981, which is when the index began. Videos like this are very isolating for the side that supports Fox and similar content. Now, you might say that anyone who supports Fox is an idiot and deserves to be isolated. But again, that attitude is aiding in this political divide that segments people into these echo chambers that become so loud that they try and overthrow democracy. Now, you might say, okay, but it's not my job to be the better person here. And technically it isn't. And in an ideal world, it shouldn't have to be. But if each side sees the other as idiots that can't be reasoned with, then that gap is never bridged. In order to take the first steps of showing reality to people who might not be living in it, we have to be the ones to take the first steps to reach out respectfully, even if you don't respect them as a person, and try and help build up this unity. It's not easy, it's not fun, and it's stupid that we have to be the ones to do it. But that doesn't change the fact that we have to be the ones to do it. We, by the way, doesn't mean Democrats or people who lean liberal. It just means anyone who's willing to set aside their biases about the other side and be the bigger person here. Say I'm a viewer of Fox News and also a Jake Doolittle fan. I see this video and decide, maybe I don't like Jake, and I'm not a fan of his anymore, and I never watch another video of his again. But as a result of that, maybe I don't learn about the YouTuber that's stealing money from his fans, or maybe I don't find out about Brendan Schaub maybe not being that funny and actually being kind of problematic in the things he chooses to joke about. By creating this wall of Fox News, you limit the options you have of actually being able to create a change. Even if your objective isn't necessarily to make a change, when your videos are reaching almost 1 million people a month, you have to be aware of the impact that they have. If you've made it this far, you're probably wondering what the point of this video was, as opposed to a YouTube comment or possibly an Instagram DM. And I'll be honest, there is a couple reasons. Firstly, while it's not my main motivation by any means, there is something to be said about using Jake's name in a video title. You're thinking it, I know it, so I'm not going to pretend like name dropping a much larger creator isn't a motivating factor. But the second reason is that I am trying to make a change, and I want this message to reach more than just Jake and Jake's audience, specifically with the "it's not helpful" section. I wanted to reach people who will hear that and think maybe they should take the first steps of being kind and receptive towards that weird extremist neighbor they have living across the street, or the uncle that makes racially questionable comments at family gatherings. I want to reach people who want to take the first steps in trying to repair this damage that partisan media has created. Now, to finish out this sandwich as promised, I would like to reaffirm the compliments from earlier. Jake does a lot of good, and he motivates a lot of people, myself included. Just look at the top comment on his Fox News video. You guys are a huge inspiration for me as a fellow chronically ill person. The pain every day is at least worth it when I can laugh and find joy here and there. That's so cool, and not something that I or most other people could ever do, because we don't live with the struggle and the pain of having to overcome a chronic illness. And that makes it even cooler that his Never Stop clothing brand helps so many young people with chronic illnesses. If you watch his going into debt for a YouTube boxing match video, you know Jake does not have a lot of money, but despite that, he still prioritizes supporting other people. And honestly, that is the most Giga Chad energy, and I respect it. Of course, let me know your thoughts down in the comments on this topic, and as always, be good, love everyone, and I will catch you all next video.